For millions of years, Rodinia stood alone, a desolate giant in a vast ocean. But deep beneath, a fiery pressure was building, seeking a way out. The crust could not hold. The supercontinent began to tear itself apart. Valleys filled with fire. Molten basalt flooded the wounds of the earth. And where the land opened, the ocean was waiting.
Water met fire. A violent invasion that reshaped the map.
Inland seas formed. Shallow, warm water walls dividing the broken land. Thousands of miles of new coastline appeared, exposing more rock to the elements. Rain fell on fresh basalt. A chemical reaction began to scrub the sky. Warm currents were blocked. The planet's heat distribution system began to fail. The Earth was losing its ability to stay warm. The greenhouse blanket vanished. The sky turned clear, beautiful, and deadly cold. On the highest peaks, the first enduring snows began to fall. Rodinia was shattered, its pieces drifting apart into a cooling world. Rodinia is dead, and the great cold is coming. As the planet cooled, ice began a relentless march from the poles. The ice acted like a giant mirror, bouncing solar energy back into the void. A deadly feedback loop began. More ice meant more reflection and even colder temperatures. The oceans began to solidify. Liquid water turned into a crushing solid mass. Entire continents, once bare rock, vanished under a blanket of eternal snow. Once the ice crossed the critical 30-degree latitude, there was no turning back. The sun still shone, but Earth refused its warmth, glowing brightly yet freezing within. Beneath the ice, the first photosynthetic life began to starve in the darkness. With water locked in ice, the clouds vanished. The sky became a deep, empty blue. At the equator, the ice sheets finally met. The tropical ocean was gone.
From the moon, Earth would have looked like a gleaming white marble.
Without heat differences to drive the wind, the global storms died out into silence. Life was trapped in a dark prison, buried under 3 kilometers of ice. Earth had become a cold, rejecting mirror. Was there any way back for life? 700 million years ago, our home was a crystal marble. Even here at the equator, the sun shines on a frozen wasteland. Not a flat rink, but a jagged, hostile fortress of ice. Katabatic winds scour the surface, screaming from the poles. A shell of ice, 3 kilometers thick, crushing the world below. Sunlight fights to penetrate, but is swallowed by the deep blue. The ocean is sealed shut, a planetary lid. Oxygen is trapped. The seas are slowly suffocating.
A cold desert. Silent. Motionless. Seemingly dead.
Till the moon's gravity tears the silence apart. Ice turns directly to ghost vapor in the dry air. Glaciers still march, grinding the continents down to dust. Earth is now a twin of Jupiter's moon, Europa. But to find hope, we must go into the dark. Under miles of ice, the ocean is a tomb. Absolute darkness. But even here, a pulse of energy remains. Hydrothermal vents, spewing mineral-rich water at 400 degrees Celsius. An oasis. Billions of microbes cling to the warmth, feeding on the chemicals. Chemosynthesis, turning sulfur into survival. Without a single ray of sun, only the toughest remain. Extremophiles, armored against the crushing cold and pressure. Resources are scarce. It is eat or be eaten. Faint currents carry the seeds of life across the barren abyss. Fire meets ice. Submarine volcanoes erupt, their heat trapped by the frozen ceiling. Volcanic CO2 accumulates, bubbles of greenhouse gas, waiting for their moment. In the dark, life is forced to adapt. Evolution accelerates. Perhaps here, the first animals emerge. Simple sponges, filtering the dark water. Others simply sleep. Spores in suspended animation, waiting. Until finally, the ice begins to thin. A breakthrough. The long winter is ending. Life is ready to rise.
Earth remains a frozen sphere, but the atmosphere glows brighter with hidden potential. Relentless UV rays bombard the ice, splitting water molecules apart in a silent chemical war. Light hydrogen escapes into space, while heavy oxygen is left behind, trapped by gravity. Oxygen bubbles are trapped deep within the ice, stored like precious frozen pearls. Shielded by ice, rocks cannot rest. Oxygen accumulates freely without being consumed by chemical weathering.
The sky deepens to a rich, heavy azure as air density rises over millions of years. A supercharged ozone shield forms, wrapping the planet in a protective layer of violet light. Atmospheric pressure builds. Dense winds howl across the frozen wasteland with newfound power. Beneath the ice, life senses the energy. Cells glow brighter, fueled by the leaking oxygen. Oxygen levels climb steadily, charging the planet with potential energy like a coiled spring. Dust-free air offers infinite visibility. Distant mountains appear razor-sharp across the white horizon. Crystal-clear skies reveal the Milky Way in sharp detail, unhindered by moisture or dust. Pressurized oxygen bursts from cracking ice, venting into the air like an escaping spirit. The atmosphere is now a powder keg, waiting for a single spark to ignite change. A distant volcano wakes.